Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, brothers and sisters and friends. Does God exist? This is a perennial question. It's a timeless question. But it's answered in Revelation itself. Yes, Revelation, the book of God. Now, what's interesting here is that you have to understand that there is no contradiction between sound rational arguments and revelation. In this context, the Quran. And the Quran answers this question in a simple but yet profound way. In chapter 52, verse 35 to 36, the Quran says the following. Did you come from nothing? Did you create yourself? Did you create the heavens and the earth? Indeed, you have no certainty. Now you may be thinking, well, don't I have to believe in revelation to even accept this argument? No, you don't have to believe that it's from God, but you can derive some logical explanations for our existence, for the existence of anything, for the existence of the entire cosmos. Why, may you be asking? Well, let me explain this to you. So the Quran is basically saying that the human being, did the human being come from nothing? Did it create itself? Did it create the heavens and the earth? Indeed, you have no certainty. Now, there's some interesting logical explanations for things that begin to exist here. We could derive a universal logic here. You don't even have to accept the fact that this verse is actually from God. Just take the logic. So, the Quran is saying there's a human being. And the human being is makhluq, created. It's muhdath, as we say in Arabic. It came into being. So there's a finite nature to the human being. And the Quran is saying, logically, well, this thing that came into being, that had a beginning, did it come from nothing? This is obvious because the Quran says, did you come from nothing? So did it come from nothing? Then the Quran says, did you create yourself? In other words, self-creation. Did that thing that came into existence, did it create itself? That's another question. That's another logical explanation for the finitude of the human being, for the finitude of anything. Then the Quran says, did you create the heavens and the earth? So you, a created thing, did you create a created thing? So the logic here is, was the finite thing created by something else created? Was the finite thing created by something else that was created? And then the final logical explanation is, there's an uncreated creator. It's not mentioned explicitly, but it's implied. Why? Because the Quran says, indeed you have no certainty, and we know the Quran is articulating this argument to awaken within us the idea that there is a creator. So let me repeat this. There's a finite human being that came into existence. This human being can be explained by saying the human being came from nothing, or the human being created itself, or the human being was created by something else created, or the human being was ultimately created by something uncreated. Now, the amazing thing about this argument, you don't have to just focus on the human being. You could focus on anything that is muhdath, that is makhluq, anything that came into existence, anything that is created, anything that is finite. And that's why you could use this logical argument or the logical explanations and apply them to anything that had a beginning, which includes the entire cosmos. It includes the universe. So the question that now follows is, well, is the universe finite? Did it have a beginning? Yes, it did. You could explore for yourself different domains of knowledge to justify this point. But what I would like to say is there's a very simple but profound philosophical argument to show that the universe had a beginning, to show that it is finite. Now, the universe has limited physical qualities. In other words, the universe is contingent. It is a contingent reality. It has limited physical qualities. Its fundamental building blocks, wherever you think they are also have limited physical qualities. Now, the interesting thing about contingent realities, the interesting thing about things that have limited physical qualities is that they did not give rise to their own limited physical qualities, which means there was an external set of factors or something external to the thing that we're talking about that gave rise to its limitations. For example, if I had a rock in my hand and I said, this rock is eternal, you would laugh at me. Why? Because it has limited physical qualities. You didn't see the rock emerge, you didn't see the beginning of the rock, but you know by virtue of its contingent reality, by virtue of the fact that it has limited physical qualities, because the rock didn't give rise to its own limitations. Likewise, if we take this rock and we expand it to the size of the universe, the same question applies. And the universe shares the same contingent reality as the rock. It has limited physical qualities in its own way. And it didn't give rise to its own limitations. Therefore, it is finite. Therefore, it had a beginning. Because it didn't give rise to its own limited physical qualities, there must have been something external to it that gave rise to those limited physical qualities. That's one way of showing the finitude of the universe. But there are many more arguments that you can explore. The point is, it is well known the universe is finite. It had a beginning. So we could apply the Quranic logic, which is also universal, the logical explanations to explain something that came into existence, to explain something that is finite. So we could take this logic and apply it to the universe itself. So let's do this. So, did the universe come from nothing? Well, we know this can't be the case because from nothing, nothing comes. And what we mean by nothing here is the absence of anything. No potential, no prior causal conditions, nothing at all. And that's why it would be absurd to postulate that something can arise from nothing. To even postulate such an absurdity, it reduces reality to a big mess. Why am I saying this? Because the logical equivalent of making such a claim, and for us to be consistent, we would have to say, well, if this whole room just disappeared from nothing and for no reason, based on no prior causes, then we should find it reasonable to assert that this room disappeared from nothing, disappeared without any prior cause. We would think it's okay. But that's an absurdity. That is an absolute absurdity, but that's the logical equivalent of making such a claim that something can arise from nothing. So we know it can't be the case that being comes from non-being. Being can only come from being. However, there are some people who say, hold on a second. Aren't there subatomic particles that emerge from what you call a quantum vacuum? Yes, that's true. And then they say, well, that's an evidence, an empirical evidence, an observation, if you like, or an indirect observation that something can arise from nothing. That's not true. Because what is the quantum vacuum? The quantum vacuum is something. It is a physical thing. It has a rich structure. It obeys the laws of the universe. It is a sea of fluctuating energy. So it's not the case that something, in this case a particle, emerges from nothing, in this case a quantum vacuum, because the quantum vacuum is not nothing, it is something. So we can safely say that the universe could not arise from nothing. What's the second logical explanation? Well, the universe, maybe it created itself. Well, this is absurd as well. Why? Because it's a logical impossibility. Because that would mean that the universe was in existence and not in existence at the same time. Because if you're saying the universe created itself, well, for it to be created, it once wasn't there. But what you're basically saying that the universe was actually there before it was there. You can attribute power to the universe before it existed. That doesn't make any sense. It is equivalent of saying that your mother gave birth to herself. Doesn't make sense. It's also equivalent of saying that I'm existing right in front of you here and not existing at the same time. Again, an absurdity, an absolute absurdity. That's why the universe couldn't create itself. So what's the third logical explanation? Well, the universe was created by something else that was created. Maybe. But is that an ultimate explanation? No, it's not. Because if this universe was created by another universe, and this universe is also created, then what created this universe? Well, you may argue something else physical, like another universe. Okay, but is this universe also created? Yes. So what created that universe? Well, something else physical, something else, like another universe. Okay, is that universe created or uncreated? It's created, it's finite. Okay, so what created that universe? Another universe. If that goes on forever, we will never have the universe today. This is called the absurdity of the infinite regress of causes. We would never have the universe today if this universe was ultimately explained by another universe that gave rise to it, and that universe itself is also created. Because if that's the case, then we say, well, what created that universe? Another one. What created that universe? Another one. What created that universe? Another one. If that goes on forever, you never have the universe today. So, where does this leave us? To the final logical explanation, which is there is an uncreated creator. And this is a very simple but profound argument to show that there is an uncreated creator. But some would argue here, hold on a second, well then who created the creator? But the beautiful thing about this argument is as follows. One of the logical explanations we just discussed deals with this contention. Which one is it? It's the third one. It is the third one. Because the Quran says, did you, the created thing, create the heavens and the earth, another created thing? What's the logic behind this? Did the created thing come about, or was it created as a result of another created thing? We've already addressed that that can't be the case. So someone who's saying who created the creator is basically affirming the third logical explanation, which we've already shown to be unreasonable. Because if you're saying who created the creator, what are you basically saying? That the creator is a created thing as well. So say for example, hypothetically for argument's sake, we say yes, it was another creator. Is that creator also created? If they say yes, they say fine, then it must have been created by another creator. Okay, is that creator now uncreated or created? If they say created, then we say fine, when there must be another creator that created this created creator. If this goes on forever, you'll never have creation in the first place. That's the whole point. There must have been an uncreated creator. Because if you say, oh, someone created the creator, and there was another creator that created that creator, and then there was another creator that created that creator, and there was another creator that created that creator, and there was another creator that created that creator, and if that goes on forever, you will never have the creator in the first place for the universe, and therefore you never have creation, the universe itself. That's why there must be an uncreated creator. So the argument who created God doesn't make sense by virtue of the third logical explanation that we already dismissed. So there's an uncreated creator, brothers and sisters and friends, and this makes sense of the basic idea of God in Islam. God is the Rabb, He is the Lord, the Creator, He is Al-Khaliq, He is the Creator of everything that exists. And this argument came from Revelation, and it is a universal argument. You don't have to believe in these verses, but the logical explanations are universal, that you can apply to anything that began to exist, which includes yourself, and it includes the entire cosmos. So there you go. There is an uncreated creator, and that has huge implications for your life, something you need to understand and continue along on your spiritual and intellectual journey.